7. Talents versus personal magnetism versus asceticism. A human being is a unique entity amongst the living species of this world. The body structure of man is so extraordinarily built that it is capable of performing wonders. Mental faculties of man are so powerful and efficient that not only he has made arrangements for human comforts and luxuries as a scientist, he is also unraveling mysteries of nature and claiming to be the governor of destiny of entire animal and plant kingdom. In the realms of knowledge and mind, man has made many fundamental researches. Structuring of governmental and social systems is an outcome of human intellectual exercises. The inexhaustible treasure of literature is man's exclusive creation. Amongst all living beings, it is man who has conceptualized God in various forms. It is even being said that in spite of being the creator of this universe, God is being recognized in some form or the other by man only. In this way, is not man a creator of the Creator? How incredible appears this statement of facts! There is no doubt about man being a great creation of God. Philosophers see man as a deluded angel. The scriptures to state that man is the supreme creation of God. If one becomes aware of the enormous potential of inner self and is able to develop and use it fruitfully, one undoubtedly gains access to all powers of God. This concept is propagated in the Vedanta philosophy as Shivoham, Satchidanandoham, Ayamatma Brehem, Tattvamsi, etc. Many amongst the elites of the world have claimed to be the crown prince or representative of God. Jesus Christ is well known as the Son of God in its primordial state. This earth must have been a vast expanse of inhospitable rugged land and stretches of water which at some stage became inhabited by primitive life forms. It was exclusively creativity of man which gave it its present shape, and some parts of it even came to be known as better than heaven. The evolution of human species from his primitive state, in which he lived in the forests as humanoid apes, to the present civilized status, is indeed surprising. In course of evolution, man has peeped into the secrets of the mysterious powers of nature which were unknown to the primitive man. Today man is aspiring to make greater and greater achievements, ranging from control over the enormous nuclear energy hidden in atoms to conquest of space. Man is indeed that entity which is capable of becoming the greatest from his already elevated status amongst the living beings inhabiting this cosmos. It is surprising that today man has become so much deluded and lost that, having forgotten all about the reality, significance and status of his existence, he has almost reached a point of no return. Where did this process of self-delusion begin? How did or does it happen? The first step towards this confusion is taken with misplacement of one's identity, where the person forgets that he is a special being on this earth and has been provided by the Creator with a special status, dignity and capability. In spite of being aware of the morphological features of human body and characteristics of human behavior, he fails to appreciate that there is some speciality in his Chetana, supraconscience, which is a component of bioenergy, in comparison to the lower orders of living beings, who derive pleasure only in eating and acts of procreation throughout their existence. The latter neither have faith in any values nor feel any necessity for protection against evil. Only material confinements, mental stimulants, and physical restrictions refrain them from adopting impropriety. Having been provided independence in absence of restrictions, if they are physically competent, they show no inclination to follow discipline. They are motivated by physical necessity and instincts only. If man also begins to believe and follow such codes of conduct, could we rate him better than a humanoid animal, Narpashu? Is it possible for some such person to discriminate between good and evil, proper and improper, for whom the mission of life is satiation of greed, infatuation with worldly objects and persons, and boosting of personal ego? How can such a person disentangle oneself from the shackles of narrow selfish interests of this world? How is it possible for a person to fly high like a free bird in the vast expanse of philosophical contemplation? One cannot have an absolute freedom of thought and expression unless one becomes free of the bondage of longings and cultivates a zest for imbibing dignity of excellence. There are many affluent and resourceful persons in this world, but rarely does one comes across one who is inspired by ideals in spite of being affluent. There are very few who think of becoming dignified by adopting excellence in life. Excellence and spirituality are interrelated phenomena. Most of the people in this world remain more or less deprived of the advantages of spirituality and benefits of philanthropy. God has specially created this angel-like human being who alone amongst the living creatures of the world is capable of achieving human level of excellence. An individual who totally disregards the special status assigned by the Creator to man lowers oneself down to the status of the lowly beings like worms and insects, irrespective of being recognized in society by virtue of status, personal position, affluence, expertise, or talents. These worldly attributes and conveniences are merely means of physical comforts, decorations, and egoistic exhibitionism. Augmentation of these attributes neither provides lasting contentment nor bliss to the Chetana of the inner self, that is, heartfelt serenity. This is the basic deprivation of life because of which a person always feels worried and restless. One often comes across people engaged in discussions about religion and at times even taking part in them. These interactions are, however, nothing more than rigmaroles. There are others feeling happy in self-deceptions of religious rituals, in undertaking pilgrimages which are hardly different from sightseeing tours, and in participating or giving demonstrations of mass prayers or sermons. With this much they pretend to be the protectors of religion. The fact, however, is quite different. These rituals are merely meant to help a person in progressive imbibition of modesty and excellence in thoughts, actions, and character. One who is really interested in religion should be found adopting a divine lifestyle. Both the inner and outer self of such a person should reflect credibility and talents. That is, thoughts and actions should be excellent and compatible. Although people tend to become wealthy and resourceful by adopting unfair means and even acquire the dubious fame with the support of flatterers and persons having vested interests, their gains are only superficial and impermanent. Like a pack of cards, their assets and status crumble down under least provocation. Falsehood is like a soap bubble. It has a very short life. The inner self of man is an inexhaustive repository of seeds of talents. Unfortunately, they are not allowed to sprout and grow because of the self-imposed overburden of the evil traits lying over the inner self. It is the natural quality of a piece of wood to float on water. But when it is attached with a heavy block of rock, this natural quality of floating is suppressed. Likewise, a human being, in spite of being naturally talented, is unable to make use of them because of the heavy load of baseness which he willingly carries on his shoulders. In order to create a suitable environment for activation of the dormant talents within the self, a double shield of protection is required. The inner self, which is governed by the contemplatory process, must be defended against the evil influences of the world by taking recourse to high thinking. On the other hand, the external self, that is, the body, should be safeguarded by avoiding evil deeds. It would become possible only after freeing oneself from the shackles of undesirable traits of harboring high ambitions. A common ambition of man is to become wealthy so that large resources of luxury could be acquired and an exhibition of one's affluence could be made in the community of have-nots. After confining one's self in such a narrow closet of selfish interests, one can hardly think of those nine noble deeds which enhance one's status of human dignity. Is it possible to row a boat forward with the help of oars when it is anchored? When a person confines his interests to narrow selfish aspirations, he can neither accept idealism nor perform any such actions which could be called commendable. Does not an ugly prostitute wear a heavy makeup to make herself appear as a beautiful angel? There is no need to look for means for developing one's talents in the world without. Talents are made to grow from within. However, it necessarily requires removal of those obstacles which offer formidable resistance to one attempting to achieve excellence. In this context, it should always be remembered that the minimum requirement is acceptance of living standard of an average citizen of the country. Unless this is done, satiation of the desires of want and lust would not permit the person to perform even the minimum philanthropic activities necessary for developing talents which one is otherwise capable of. The ravines of desire and lust are so deep that even after filling them with maximum resources, labor and expertise in the small span of life, man cannot hope to level them. Unless one is willing to surrender this much, that is, lust and desire, how would it be possible to achieve satisfactorily the high objective of development of one's talents, which is intimately related to excellence in life? Without curtailing the high ambitions of the material world arising out of desires of self-satiation, one cannot save sufficient time energy, and resources to do something worthwhile for upliftment of oneself or the humanity as a whole. The sadhus, ascetics, and Brahmans have been regarded as Bhusurs, angels on this earth, or Devtas, divine persons on this earth. They had earned this distinction since they had chosen to follow the path of strict continence, self-denial, and contentment in life. The more a person becomes conscious of his status in society, the greater one would feel short of time and deprived of necessities. Such a person is always found complaining about the multiplicity of problems, whereas in reality man has few problems to solve. All difficulties can be easily surmounted with a little practical sense and understanding. In fact, factually, issues are trivial. Because of erroneous concepts, they are made to appear large or burdensome. Sanyamniyam, self-restraint, encompass many disciplines, prominent amongst which are purity of food, civility of behavior, goodwill, diligence, financial prudence, cleanliness, cooperation, and amenability to regulations. Opposed to these virtues are many vices like indiscipline, undue indulgence in savor, indolence, procrastination, cruelty, irresponsibility, wastage of resources, and addictions which block the progress of a person. All these evil traits, which are apparently not interrelated, are in fact offshoots of narrow selfishness and reckless irresponsible behavior only. The job of handling each of these evils independently and taking corrective measures is like making an attempt to weigh frogs one by one. Just as a single dose of multispectrum drug is able to take care of a variety of ailments, broadening of outlook makes one clear about one's real identity, objectives, and responsibilities. As a human being, with this enlightenment, all problems arising out of the evils vanish. As a matter of fact, because of lack of wisdom, man is possessed by base instincts which by themselves are too weak and disappear on enlightenment like ghosts, which are capable of terrorizing during darkness only. An enlargement of perspective makes it clear that the real interest of self lies only in the interest of others. There is no other business in this world more profitable than the trade of philanthropy. The enormous goodwill earned by many, beginning from the famous great men in the history of mankind to the present day publicly respected persons, would easily convince anyone that even those interested in personal gains would find it much more advantageous to invest their efforts and resources in philanthropic pursuits. A seed sown in the ground multiplies 1,000 times in the fruits of the tree. Great men have never lost sight of this simple fact. They dispersed the seeds of their philanthropic acts in the field of society and reaped the harvest not only for themselves, but also for the entire humanity, thus making the world many times richer by their contributions. In fact, such acts are expressions of talents in a person. Talent is another name for brilliance, which implies the strength of the inner self, Tejasvita. Neither do talents or excellence appear externally as glare on face or as physical attraction in a person, nor as shrewdness of mind. Tejasvita, talent, is a form of energy depending on the strength of will. Mahatma Gandhi weighed only 96 pounds, and was hardly 5 feet 2 inches in height. Besides, his complexion too was dark, and he could not be called attractive by any standards. In spite of these physical shortcomings, he had a powerful tejas which made commoners as well as the cream of the elites of the country obey him alike. The skill with which he made the British rulers of a vast empire abdicate has now become history. Development of Tejas in a person not only brings in a betterment in all facets of his personal life, it also helps in the progress of the community as a whole. Personal Tejas of individuals also energize social environment by bringing out talents in others. Tejasvita is no doubt a product of sustained asceticism and arises out of the dual action of Sanyam Sadhana, disciplining of body and mind in personal life and philanthropy in social interactions. Sanyam means a discipline involving a strict adherence to control over self. It requires a personal endeavor to liberate oneself from the triple bondage of desire, Krishna, lust, Vasana, and ego, Ahanta. In order to achieve the above objective, the ideal of Brahmanism, that is, simple living and high thinking, is to be followed by choosing the living standard of an average citizen. Only those who do this much are able to concentrate on philanthropic pursuits. In this way, men succeed in activating those dormant powers and attributes from within the self, which yogis obtain only after prolonged practice. They are showered with those powers which the spiritualists call divine grace or boons. There are many ritualistic disciplines of sadhana, providing one access to divine powers, but the easiest procedure which anyone can follow is to begin with a simple living requiring minimum of effort and time for sustenance. As stated, only in this way one can save sufficient energy, time and resources, enabling one to enjoy the bliss of philanthropic pursuits, thus involving one's own self with the omnipresent in all beings. This is the only way to enjoy the divine way of living. While making a decision on suitable choice of discipline of spirituality for practice, opportunity and objective of the exercise must be kept in mind, which in turn depends upon the environment and level of development of particular person concerned. Efforts are made to discipline those aspects of personal habits which become erratic, creating problems. The chosen discipline, under the guidance of a guru, serves the same purpose which the use of force and expertise does for the tamer of the raw animals of a circus, who makes them exhibit miraculous feats. In this process, the body as well as the mind are trained to adopt modesty of behavior. This, in a nutshell, is the Sanyam Yoga. Without this minimum effort, one does not get an opportunity to earn divine grace through philanthropic deeds. How can one who does not have control on his mind and body and lets them behave erratically hope to get divine powers? Is it possible to clean filth with the help of filth? Asceticism involves incorporations of modesty of thinking and behavior in character and a dedication to philanthropic activities. Efficiency of talents becomes apparent only after adopting these attributes.